In The Young and the Restless, Las Vegas becomes more than just a backdrop of neon lights and illusions. It transforms into a psychological maze where every shadow hides a possibility and every truth feels deliberately out of reach, and for Adam Newman, stepping into this city is not a choice but a confrontation with everything he cannot control. The claim that Nick Newman is dead does not settle into Adam's mind as a fact, it collides violently with instinct, with memory, with a deep-rooted understanding of his brother that refuses to accept such a clean and convenient ending. There is something wrong in the way Matt Clark presents the story, something too controlled, too measured. As if every detail has been rehearsed to provoke a specific reaction. And that realization begins to eat away at Adam's composure long before the situation turns physical. Adam's refusal to believe Matt is not just about denial, it is about survival. Because accepting Nick's death would mean surrendering to a narrative he did not choose. A narrative controlled by someone he fundamentally does not trust. That refusal fuels his determination to see Nick with his own eyes, to confirm the truth in a way that cannot be manipulated or distorted. But the more he pushes, the more resistance he encounters, and that resistance is not chaotic, it is structured, intentional. Designed to frustrate him, to provoke him, to push him into a state where logic gives way to impulse. And that is exactly where Matt wants him. When Adam finally loses control and lunges at Matt, the moment is explosive, but beneath the surface, it is also a calculated turning point that Matt has anticipated. The attack is not just an act of anger, it is the culmination of mounting pressure, of fear disguised as aggression. Of a man who realizes too late that he has been maneuvered into reacting rather than thinking. Matt absorbs the chaos without losing composure, turning the situation into an advantage. Allowing the environment to spiral just enough to create confusion while maintaining control over the larger narrative. Security, distractions, shifting locations, all of it unfolds with a precision that reveals how carefully this scenario has been constructed. As Adam struggles to regain his footing, the realization that he is no longer in control hits him with devastating clarity. Because every instinct he relies on has been neutralized. The more he fights, the more the situation tightens around him, like a trap designed not to capture his body, but to dismantle his certainty. This is not just about finding Nick anymore. It is about understanding the rules of a game that he did not know he was playing until it was already too late. And that awareness creates a dangerous internal conflict. Because Adam must now choose between continuing to act on instinct or forcing himself into a level of restraint that feels unnatural, even unbearable. Meanwhile, hidden from the chaos but deeply connected to it, Nick's condition becomes the silent center of the storm. He is alive, but barely, his body caught in a fragile balance that could collapse at any moment. And that reality transforms the urgency of the situation into something almost unbearable. Every delay becomes a threat, every misstep a potential death sentence, and yet reaching him is not as simple as breaking through physical barriers. Because the true obstacle lies in Matt's control over information, over access, over the timing of every reveal. Nick's life is no longer just in danger, it has become a bargaining chip. A piece in a larger strategy that extends far beyond a single act of violence. The psychological weight of this begins to fracture Adam's usual clarity, because the stakes are no longer abstract or strategic, they are personal, immediate, and unforgiving. His relationship with Nick has always been defined by tension, rivalry, and unresolved resentment, and now, faced with the possibility of losing him, those unresolved emotions resurface with brutal intensity. There is guilt that he cannot fully articulate, regret that he has never been forced to confront until now, and beneath it all, a realization that time is running out not just to save Nick, but to redefine what their relationship means before it is too late. This emotional undercurrent complicates every decision, because Adam is no longer acting purely out of strategy, but out of a need to correct something that may not be fixable. At the same time, Matt continues to escalate the situation, not through overt violence, but through controlled chaos, introducing new complications that make every step toward Nick more difficult. False leads, shifting locations, interruptions that appear random but are anything but. All of it contributes to a sense that Adam is being guided down a path designed to exhaust him, to weaken his ability to think clearly. The realization that this is a long game, not a single confrontation, forces Adam into a position he despises. One where patience becomes more valuable than aggression, and where restraint is the only way to regain control. This shift does not come easily, because it requires Adam to suppress the very instincts that have defined his survival. Every part of him wants to push forward, to break through, to force the situation into resolution. But he begins to understand that doing so will only deepen the trap. This creates a tension that is almost unbearable, as he is forced to hold himself back even as every second feels like a step closer to losing Nick. The internal battle becomes as intense as the external one, because Adam must confront the possibility that his greatest strength, his ability to act decisively, may also be his greatest weakness in this moment. As the situation unfolds, the ripple effects extend beyond Las Vegas, reaching the Newman family in ways that amplify the tension and deepen the stakes. The uncertainty surrounding Nick's fate creates fractures within the family, as fear and suspicion begin to replace trust. And every piece of information is questioned, dissected, and doubted. The possibility that Matt's actions are part of a larger scheme introduces a level of paranoia that begins to influence decisions far beyond the immediate crisis, turning allies into potential liabilities and forcing everyone to operate under the assumption that nothing is as it seems. Back in the heart of the chaos, Adam begins to adapt, not by abandoning his instincts, but by reshaping them, forcing himself into a more calculated approach even as the emotional pressure continues to build. He starts to see patterns where there once seemed to be randomness, to recognize that every move Matt makes is designed to provoke a reaction, to create a specific outcome. This realization becomes his only advantage, the one thread he can pull to begin unraveling the larger scheme, even as the cost of every mistake continues to rise. Nick's condition remains the ticking clock that drives everything forward, a constant reminder that time is not on Adam's side, that every delay carries consequences that cannot be undone. The closer Adam gets to the truth, the more dangerous the situation becomes, because it becomes clear that Matt is not just protecting himself. He is protecting something larger, something that cannot be allowed to surface without causing damage far beyond what anyone has anticipated. This raises the stakes even further, transforming the rescue into something more complex, more dangerous, and more unpredictable than it initially appeared. As the tension reaches its peak, the lines between control and chaos blur completely. And Adam is forced to confront the reality that there may not be a clean resolution, that saving Nick may come at a cost he is not prepared to pay. The decisions he faces are no longer about right or wrong, but about choosing which consequences he is willing to accept, which losses he can endure, and which risks he is willing to take. And in this moment, where everything hangs in the balance, the true test is not whether he can outmaneuver Matt, but whether he can master himself, whether he can navigate the storm without becoming consumed by it. And as Las Vegas continues to pulse with tension, as the illusion of control shatters and the truth edges closer to the surface, the outcome remains uncertain, defined not by a single confrontation, but by the accumulation of choices, each one carrying the weight of everything that could still be lost.